Welcome to part 2 of the essentials of the course Comfort and Health in Buildings, based on lectures by Philomena Bleusen. Part 2 is about indoor air quality, the third component of IEQ. Air pollution can cause all sorts of health effects and can trigger several stress mechanisms. Specific chronic respiratory diseases and disorders caused by air pollution are, for example, COPD, asthma, allergic rhinitis, and hay fever. Besides all those diseases and disorders, there are symptoms that have been related to exposure to air pollutants in buildings, such as symptoms of eyes and nose, tiredness, and headaches. In the past, if several occupants in a building were suffering from these symptoms and no specific illness could be assigned, this was diagnosed as sick building syndrome. Pollutants in indoor air can originate from outdoor air, such as traffic, pollen, and dirt. It can also come from people themselves, like odors, but also from their activities and products they use, such as smoking or cleaning. Fourth, building materials, and not to forget furniture, are sources of pollution. And finally, heating, ventilating, and air conditioning systems themselves can be a source of pollutants. Indoor air quality is determined by the pollutants occupants are exposed to over time. The pollution sources we've just discussed can be divided into 3 categories: gaseous pollutants, particles, and humidity. First, there are gaseous pollutants, of which some can smell and others do not, such as carbon monoxide produced during cooking on a gas stove. Second, there are particles that can be of biological nature, such as house dust mite and Legionella bacteria, but particles can also originate from materials, see below asbestos fibers. And then there is humidity. See here the condensation on the window frame. Gaseous pollutants can be divided into organic and inorganic gases. Ozone, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, and radon gas are inorganic. Ozone is present in the outdoor air, but is also a byproduct of printing. You can smell ozone and it can cause eye irritations. CO2, CO, and nitrogen oxides are mainly produced during combustion processes such as smoking, cooking, and by traffic. Carbon monoxide is a very poisonous colorless and odorless gas produced by incomplete combustion and still responsible for many deaths in not well ventilated rooms. Radon gas is radioactive gas coming from the natural decay of uranium present in the ground. Radon gas can also be released from construction materials such as brick, concrete, and natural stone. Decay products of radon gas can attach to urban particles. When you inhale those particles, the emitted radiation can damage the lung tissue. The second category of gaseous pollutants are organic ones, named volatile organic compounds, VOCs. VOCs are categorized into 4 groups depending on their volatility. The first group, the VVOCs, is the most volatile one and therefore the most prone to be found in air. The last one, the POMs, are the less volatile. The very VOCs, like formaldehyde, emitted among others by fiberboard, have been studied a lot because of their health effects. VOCs entail a wide range of products, including mycotoxins from fungi spores. SVOCs, the semi-volatile organic compounds, are generally found in lower concentration in indoor air. Phthalates that are used in vinyl flooring materials and some paints are belonging to this category. They include plasticizers used in vinyl floorings and paints and pesticides such as DDT. Among the POMs, the particulate organic matter belong products from fuel combustion and and present in coal tar and in tobacco smoke. Particular sources of volatile organic compounds may be the ventilation systems themselves when filters accumulate microorganisms, dirt and dust and oil residues. The second type of pollutants, particles, can be of biological nature or of chemical nature. Particles of biological origin that can be found indoors are often originating from pets. Some of us are allergic to these particles. There is also the house dust mite, of which the fecal pellets can cause allergic reactions, such as allergic rhinitis. Other particles of biological origin are pollens and fungal particles. As fungi grow, like here on the sealants of the tiles, they will release spores into the air and can produce microbial volatile organic compounds and mycotoxins. We also have bacteria. An example is Legionella that you can find in water. When you breathe it in when taking a shower, you can develop a flu-like illness, the so-called Legionnaire's disease, a very serious lung infection. Besides, in shower heads or tap water that haven't been used for some days, poorly installed or maintained air humidifiers can pollute the air with Legionella bacteria or other microorganisms. Several guidelines, therefore, exist to prevent pollution with the Legionella bacteria in building water and HVAC systems. Finally, we should not forget about viruses like COVID-19. Respiratory infections can be caused by viruses exhaled by an infected person. The coronavirus, for example, is spread during breathing, speaking, singing, shouting, sneezing and coughing, forming so-called respiratory droplets. Larger droplets form to the floor within 2 meters of the source, but small droplets, also named aerosols, can stay suspended for longer time. Let's go now to the second category, the chemical particles, also named particulate matter. They form the largest part of the particles present indoors. Particles are defined as dust when they are smaller than about 200 micron and larger than 0.01 micron. All particles with a diameter less than 10 micron are named PM10, less than 2.5 microns PM2.5, etc. Particles smaller than 2.5 micron can get all the way to the lung cells, while nanoparticles can even pass the membrane of those lung cells and can enter the bloodstream. Fibers are a particular type of particulate matter. Examples are asbestos and mineral wool from construction material. Asbestos is still present in many buildings and presents a risk of cancer if fibers are inhaled. Indoor sources of ultrafine particles are home cooking and burning appliances, tobacco smoke, burning candles, vacuuming, cleaning, clothes, dryers, and other household activities. Then, humidity. Besides by people sweating and breathing, water is also introduced by activities such as cooking, washing, drying, and showering. Water is an important compound in buildings. Too much water in the air can lead to condensation and can cause damage to materials, resulting in degradation and release of substances such as formaldehydes from, for example, wooden furniture or odorous alcohols from some vinyl floorings. In addition, presence of water may encourage microbiological growth, resulting in further material degradation and also release of fungal spores and increase in-house dust mite levels. Growth of all these biological microorganisms occurs in the presence of water, carbon and nitrogen that can be found in construction materials such as wood, textiles, fibers, glues, paints, filters in ventilation systems and inside duct insulation. Other materials like metals, concrete and plastics can become breeding grounds for fungi as well when not cleaned. An important control strategy for indoor air quality is to reduce emissions of pollution sources as much as possible by applying source control, which is the prevention of emissions from any possible source. Thus, using low-emitting products and materials, clean and maintainable heating, ventilation and air conditioning systems, minimizing pollutants to enter in a space by using filters, placing the ventilation inlet far from outdoor pollution sources, and not using air recirculation. Another strategy is the cleaning of air from gaseous pollutants, for example, by using active carbon filters to filter volatile organic compounds, or a layer of titanium dioxide on the surface in combination with UV light. Additionally, plants may be used, but you need really a lot of them. Finally, ventilation is a main control strategy for indoor air quality. Ventilation can be established by just opening a window, this is natural ventilation in the right column, or can be established by using a mechanical ventilation system that supplies and/or exhausts the air, see the left column. Mechanical ventilation gives the possibility to control the amount of air that is removed, while natural ventilation is an uncontrolled form and therefore less reliable. Different ventilation principles, those are the rows in the drawing, can be selected, such as mixing, displacement and vertical ventilation. In all cases, the air pollutants are diluted, replacing polluted air with fresh air, which therefore reduces the number of infectious aerosols in the air. In modern systems, carbon dioxide is used as an indicator for the air quality. CO2 in itself is not a good indicator for the emissions by people. With setting a limit value for the concentration of CO2 indoors, for example 1200 ppm, and a known amount of persons in a space, it is possible to determine the required ventilation rate. Most ventilation standards are based on such calculations. I hope you have enjoyed this lecture about air quality. Thank you for your attention. In part 3 of the Essentials, you will learn about thermal quality. Goodbye.